Annual progress report. This is probably the time of the year when you are drafting the first version of your annual report, or maybe you've submitted already one version of your report, you got comments on the first version, and you are reviewing and drafting another version. In the following video, I will explain you how to avoid making the 3 common mistakes that we find on annual progress reports. I am Julien Autier, the executive coach who has been in your shoes in international organizations for more than 15 years. Error number 1, only focusing on activities. We have organized X amount of workshops with X number of partners. We have procured X number of items. We have contracted X number of consultants. This might sound obvious, but you cannot imagine the number of reports that we find and that are mostly or only focused on activities. So how should you proceed? The first step is to come back to your initial log frame structure. And in an RBM approach, you start at the outcome level. You start reporting on the outcome level, and then you unfold a chain of result. So from the outcome to the several outputs that might have contributed to the outcome, and then going down the chain into activities. But activities and resources, including human resources, should come at the end. So we start from the top of the pyramid, outcome level. We come down to the several outputs that contributed to this outcome, and then to the several activities and resources that were implemented. And your report will make a difference if you are able to connect the dots. For instance, the outputs that were produced this year, how much do they connect to the outputs that were produced last year or the year before? How much do they prepare the ground for the outputs that will be produced next year? In brief, your progress report needs to tell a story and where we are at the moment in that logic of intervention. Error number 2, being unprecise about the time frame. You cannot imagine how many reports I have seen where we account for activities and products that were produced in the previous years. Sometimes it comes from a lack of rigor, sometimes it comes from a lack of progress. In the end, it is a form of double counting, and it doesn't look good. So the best practice is to strictly stick to the established period of reporting. So for instance, in the previous years, you had 10,000 beneficiaries on a specific intervention, and now you have 15,000. You need to be precise on whether you are adding 5,000 beneficiaries and keeping the 10,000 from the previous year, or if those beneficiaries are different. And you can claim 25,000 beneficiaries, adding the numbers. This needs to be completely clear in your reports. What counts is what was added during that specific period of time. Error number 3, being too long. Obviously, you've been immersed in the project implementation, so your head is full of details. It is not the donor's job or the reader to look for the relevant information in your report. It requires an effort to summarize all those experiences into a short and effective narrative that will highlight the key achievements and the key milestone of the project. So first, start by acknowledging that you will have a natural tendency to write a lot of details, to write more than is requested. Then, once you have a first draft, get back to the text, identify what matters most, make choices, streamline the paragraphs so that you have something which is a user-friendly experience for the reader. A result-oriented report. Use matrix, graphs, bullet points, and keep your words to analyze, to explain, to guide your reader within the report on what is most important, what is you want to channel and communicate. If you work in an international organization, it's time now for you to tell us about your experience. What has been your experience? What do you find challenging in reporting? What are the best practices that you've seen in your organization? And please do not hesitate to share your comments in the section below. And if you found that video useful, please like it, reshare, repost, and follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube.